Try again. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to have to close out of Facebook. Oh, Christina's here. Yay. Okay, I'm going to close down Facebook so I won't be able to see anybody who's posting there. Okay, Diane, no problem. The recordings will be available for a while. I did put them on YouTube. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Lead Like a Goddess. This is day 3, and today we are talking about what is really the one of the most important aspects of your business, and that is growing your community, right? Because if you don't constantly have new leads coming in, then your offers will be successful in the beginning, but you're always going to have to be refreshing that community to bring in new leads so you can make offers to new people. So, in case you don't know me, I'm Carol Ann DeSimony, and I'm the creator of the Goddess Way to 6 Figures methodology, 5 pillars of success. And I'm doing this training this week, 5 days, 5 pillars, because I decided to open special enrollment for the Goddess Way to 6 Figures Mastermind, since we're going into second quarter. And the mastermind is kind of, shifting focus a little bit, but not too much. So I'm offering some really good incentives, some savings. So if it's something that resonates with you, if you feel that you're a good fit, I mean, this is a true mastermind. So you have to have a business and you have to have worked with clients. But anyway, just if you are interested, just, post in the chat, post in the comments if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and then I will connect with you personally and we'll chat about it. So, okay, let's just do a quick recap. Day 1 was about your irresistible offer. Now, everything starts with your offer. And if you haven't seen the replay, I do suggest that you go back and watch that, because again, any 6-figure business or any successful business, and I just want to clarify the 6-figure thing, because I work with spiritual entrepreneurs, coaches, women who really are here to we're all here to get our gifts out into the world and make a bigger impact, right? Because it's all about fulfillment, living our purpose, that sort of thing. So that becomes more important than the money, and it should be. However, I do see a lot of women. I'm going to just mute everybody. I do see a lot of women, especially, who are doing everything in their business and they're just burned out and they're not getting anywhere. They can't get beyond the 5-figure mark. They might even be at 4 figures. That's fine. I don't care where you are. I just want you to be serious about making your business a business. Because, I mean, this goes way back to my agency days when I was doing graphic design, and I was at the top of my game, at the rate scale, because I knew I was more than a graphic designer. And I was competing with people who were charging, and we were working hourly at the time, charging $15 an hour. My assistant, he finally started charging money. And I said, well, what are you charging? And he said, $15 an hour. And I said, Matt, The only reason to be in business is to make money, and you're hurting the industry by undercharging. And it's the same in the coaching industry. I mean, a lot of times I see health coaches or life coaches, and they say, well, I charge $50 an hour or $100 an hour. Well, that's okay if you need to get started and you need the experience. But at some point, you're going to want to really see what the industry average is and then be in alignment with that. Because, you know, like a mentor used to tell me, you are so much more than you were ever taught to believe. And we see it in the way we're charging, right? Our money is a reflection of whether we believe that or not. So I just wanted to say that, you know, when I say the Goddess Way to Six Figures, it really is about developing that mindset to have a successful business. You may not get to six figures in 12 months. You probably won't, depending on where you're starting from. Maybe you will if you've been in business for a while. So just, you know, I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so day one was about your irresistible offer. Day two was about alignment. And I have to say, and Christine knows this, I was out of alignment yesterday. And it was because I had a crazy busy day. However, I had a meeting till 2:15. And I thought, well, and I had to change the time to 3 o'clock for, you know, my session. And I thought, well, okay, I'll have 30 minutes to prepare my notes. And guess what? At the end of that 2:15 meeting, you know, I got kicked off. I thought it was her because she was complaining of her internet being slow. So I took my good old time, went downstairs, made some soup, and I figured, yeah, I'll just, you know, I have a couple extra minutes. I'll, you know, write my notes out. Well, guess what? It was my internet that had gone down in my neighborhood. So it was a big issue. Not only that, I spilled soup all over my white shirt and I had to deal with that. So, you know, I'm dealing with the internet company. I'm trying to come up with a plan B, seeing if my phone would work. Luckily, the internet did get fixed before I went live. They didn't text me like they said they would, but that's another story. But anyway, so I did it, but I just was really out of sorts. I was not grounded. And, you know, I always say that you have everything you need inside of you. But when you're doing and I'm going to talk about this a little bit because this is in alignment with today's topic. But when you show up, you really should prepare. And I did not feel prepared. So, you know, I talked about alignment. It wasn't really everything that I wanted to talk about, but my energy was off. And this goes back to day one when I talked about your belief in your offer. If you do not believe in your offer, your energy is going to be off. So that's why it's really important to be aligned with your offer, aligned with your marketing, because when you show up live, you know, you are either hot or not. Yesterday, I was not hot. And what I did, just so you know, Christine, I put the video, I uploaded it into Camtasia and I edited some of the slow parts and I didn't want to really do it over again, but that's what happened. So it took me extra time, but I think it's a better recording. So anyway, as a result of that, I may do a recap toward the end of the week of all 5 pillars, but we'll see. But my point is that, you know, we are here today's training is about attracting clients. So when you attract clients, you really have to be the one and that has a solution that they need. And you have to show up. There's no way around it. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today, and it all has to do with growing your community. I often call it your soul tribe or your fractal, but a lot of people don't resonate with the word tribe. I don't blame them. I don't really resonate with it much either. So we'll just, you know, think of it as your community, and your community is those warm leads, the people that you attract. So I define this, you know, your target market or your ideal clients a little bit differently. And and than a lot of people do. So first, I'm just going to throw this out there. First, you have your target market, which is the largest group that you work with. So I work with entrepreneurs, right? Online entrepreneurs. Many of those entrepreneurs are spiritually focused in some way. They're service-based, they're coaches or experts or authors, because I'm a book coach as well. So that's the big group. Then the smaller group is your niche, right? So your niche is that segment of society that has the problem that you solve, that and that you work with best. I know there's one other thing. What is it? Anyway, but it's who you work with best. Okay. So many women don't also work with men. Some women work only with men. Some weight loss coaches, and I used this example before, will work with women who have only 30 pounds to lose. That's a niche, right? It's very, very specific. So that's the smaller group that you work with within your target market, which is the large group that you still want to attract, right? And then you have your niche, that's even warmer. And then you have your ideal clients. So the ideal clients are the ones who are aware of the problem that you solve and what you do in your business, and they are ready to get help. So they likely, if you show up like you should, you make an offer that they like, you do your calls to action, they probably will become your client at some point. Now, you always have to think right offer in front of the right person at the right time. That's really what it comes down to when it comes to getting people to buy your offer. So think about that. So if you're not attracting clients, you're going to want to tweak something, but it might not be you, right? It might just be that, you're not making they're not seeing the need right now. You have to show them the need. So we're going to talk about content today, and that's how you do this. And what I see now that's working is the people who are showing up on the regular with valuable content. You notice there's a lot of free trainings out there, right? So we're not talking fluff stuff. We're talking people are out there giving their best stuff. Well, let me retract that. It's not their best stuff, because you only get the best stuff when you work with somebody on a deep dive. Like the mastermind, I deliver my best stuff, especially in the one-to-one sessions. That's where the true support and magic happens. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Oh, thanks, Christina. I'm so glad you were there. I'm so glad you loved it. Anyway, so the 3 topics we're going to talk about today are, again, content, email, which I say is the #1 asset in your business. And then the third one is nurturing. And the reason I added nurture is because I had a session with a client yesterday, and she was doing things all wrong. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So let's first talk about email, because it really blew my mind. I have a course that I launched last year. It's called the what's the name? Freedom, the List Builders Freedom Funnel Flow. And it teaches everything from lead magnet to growing your list, the tech, everything in between. And I also provide a nurture sequence. And when I was launching that course, and it is a course, it's a digital course now available for purchase, I did the standard market research. Now, this is really not the goddess way that I teach, but it was somebody else's process, so I followed it. And I talked to a lot of people to get information about what did people want in this course. It's about email, right? Well, it blew my mind that most of the people I spoke with did not even know why they should have an email list or how to use an email list. One person even launched a program. And when I said, well, did you send it to your, and she got no response. I said, well, did you market it to your email list? She said, no, I didn't think about that. And she was working with a very expensive coach, and she did not look very happy because she thought her coach should have told her that. I mean, here I was just in a conversation, casual conversation, and the light bulb went on. I saw it. I saw the light bulb go off. And so it kind of blew my mind. And the responses I was getting were really kind of like people didn't understand email. But it is the number one asset in your business for several reasons. You've probably heard that you don't own your social media platforms and they could go away any day, which is highly likely, but you do own your email list. If you notice, a lot of people think that social media is the way to go. There's nothing wrong with social media. Social media is the way to drive traffic to your email list. So when you see all these influencers, these, you listening to podcasts, you see people on Instagram, Reels, whatever, they are sending you to go download a freebie or something else so you can get on their email list, and then they can continue to market to you. Because the chances of you seeing somebody on social media or them seeing you every time you show up, that's pretty slim. But if you send an email, they're going to see your name in their inbox, whether they open that email or not. Some people just don't have time. So when you complain about your open rate is down, well, don't let that stop you, because a lot of people will say, well, nobody opens emails, nobody reads emails. Well, you don't even have to open it anymore, because I can look on my phone and I can see what the topic is from any email. I open it when I want to read more, but I'm still taking note of who's sending it, what they're doing. I just don't open everything. So that things are changing, and you've got to really kind of be okay with that, right? So really, really, really think about growing your email list. People say the money is in your list, and it is true. 95% of my sales come from my emails. That's how I attract people I don't know. If I attract somebody on social media, most likely they know me already. So you can't discount social media, but really drive people to your list. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, of course, you need a list, because we're going to talk about nurturing, and so I have to talk about lists first. But let me shift the conversation to content for a little bit, because content, when I say content, it really means showing up in. We talked about aligned marketing yesterday. So showing up on that platform that is aligned with who you are consistently and delivering value. Now, I also want to say, you heard me talk about the Goddess Way to Six Figures Mastermind. I have other programs, right? You heard me talk about my list building course. I have the Goddess Way Inner Circle, which Christina is now a member. And I love that group as much as I love the mastermind. The mastermind is just, for a higher level. But when you show up, you always want to talk about your offer. And why? It's not that you're selling it. I mean, I'm not here to do a big pitch about my, let me just change the screen. I'm not here to do a big pitch, but you have to know what I do, right? What I'm about, and how, if you feel called, you can continue to work with me. Same with you. You don't want to just show up randomly where people don't know what you're about. So you talk about your offers. It doesn't mean you're pitching them. It doesn't mean you're being salesy. It just really shows people how you can make a difference in their lives beyond the free trainings or the free content that you deliver. Okay, so the way you do content has also changed. Now, let's talk a little bit about platforms. A lot of people now are doing podcasts. Podcasts are really, really hot. And I always say, we talked about the 10 ingredients of an irresistible offer. And one of those ingredients is why. You should ask why with everything. So if you want to do a podcast, why do you want to do that podcast? In my book program, one of the first things we do in week 1 is figure out your why. Why do you want to write a book? So anytime you choose a platform to show up consistently, know why you're doing it. Some people, Instagram Reels are hot now. TikTok is hot now. If you're in a certain demographic, if your people are there, that's a good enough why to show up there. For me, it doesn't align with my why. Okay. I don't think my people are there. It doesn't feel right to me. I like Facebook. I have my group. Why do I like Facebook groups? Because of the community. It's one way to really interact with people. You're not really if you have a podcast, that's great, but you're not interacting with people. Facebook, I'm not looking at the Facebook broadcast right now, but there could be people commenting, or maybe they'll watch the replay and comment there. That's why I like Facebook. Whatever you say about social media, it does serve a purpose. It is great. LinkedIn, my virtual assistant you might see posts about me on LinkedIn. She's working that because I can't be everywhere, but my clients are likely on LinkedIn. And YouTube is great. I have a YouTube channel. I started really getting serious about it. I created it, and then I had a bunch of people die. And when your energy is like yesterday, right? Thanks for liking it, Christine, and give me the positive feedback. But if your energy isn't right on, then you really don't want to show up on video. And that's how I was feeling. So I kind of put that on the back burner. But wherever you choose to show up, you want to be where your clients are, where your high-end clients are, if that's who you're trying to attract. Now, I get that is like one of the most common questions I hear. How can I find my high-end clients? Well, and I always say a better question to ask is, how can they find you? Right? High-end clients are, and when I say high-end clients, I'm not talking about people who have a lot of money. A high-end client is somebody who really wants the highest transformation that you provide. And it might not be the highest transformation that they invest in. They might invest in a $47, $97 course until they feel safe with you, or that they really trust you and as the expert that you claim to be. So when you show up delivering content, then that just expedites the whole process of having people trust you, believe in you, knowing that you're the one. What kind of content is working now? There are 3 types. I learned this from a mentor, but other people are saying the same thing. So I'm just going to use his way of explaining it. He says 50% of your content. Now, when I say 50%, let's first talk about this. You don't have to show up every single day. I mean, I'm doing a 5-day training. If I did a 30-day training, you'd probably be really sick of me, right? And what would I talk about for 30? Well, I could find plenty to talk about for 30 days, trust me. But anyway, you get the point. People don't want to see you every single day. So maybe 3 times a week, As a matter of fact, in the mastermind, that's going to be our challenge for second quarter, is to get out there and deliver content 3 times a week. Now that can be, showing up on Facebook twice in that week and sending an email, right? That's not overkill. And the thing is, you can talk about the same thing on 3 different platforms in 1 week. So 3 times a week is plenty. Now, and I'm not big on mapping out a content marketing plan. That's what it used to be called, content marketing. It still is, because I just kind of do things on the fly as I feel the flow, so to speak. But I do have a little, I do have some structure to that. So say you show up, say 12 times in a month. That's 3 times a week for 4 weeks. So 6 of those, let's call them broadcasts. Whatever you do, whether it's a blog, whether it's a podcast, YouTube, Facebook, email, 6 of those should be connection posts. Let's call them posts, okay? So really just, this is about your identity and talking to your people. So think about, what is your identity? I identify with the goddess. I identify with spiritual entrepreneurs, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, a grandmother, a daughter. My mother's still alive, my partner. So these connection posts really just establish who you are, because people will see themselves in your stories. And we're talking stories here. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a workshop in April around stories. Stories are a great way to deliver content, right? And through your message. So a story has a beginning, a middle, an end, and I always say a moral. And you want to be teaching that moral in every story. So say 6 of your broadcasts, whatever they are, whether they're written, on video, should be connection. And then, yes, you can have a call to action. You can offer a free gift or something like that, because when somebody even downloads a free gift, they're interested and they want more of you, right? Or you can ask somebody to post in the comments, DM you if they want to hear more about something. It's not a sell. A call to action is not a hard sell. It's just an invitation for your people, your viewer, to take the next step with you, whether it's just connecting, whether it's, giving them something for free. That's all call to action is. So you should have a call to action in just about every time you show up, but not every single time. So 6 of those, 50% should be connection. 3 of those posts during that month should be thought reversal. I have another mentor that I'm working with now, and she calls them assumption busters. So we talked about email, right? So here's a thought reversal. Many people believe that being a social media influencer is going to make them rich. But I can tell you that unless you're driving people to get onto your email list, that you're really just, what could take you 1 year will take you 3 years, something like that, right? So the assumption, and I talked about this earlier, many people think that you get clients by showing up on social media, but no, you actually get clients who buy from you via email. So I'm busting the assumption that social media is the way to get clients. Now, social media is the way to get clients in some arenas. And, I don't want to talk too much about that. That's a more advanced strategy. But if you're just starting out in business, if you're in that 1 to 3 year phase, you really want to grow your list, because even the ones who are at the higher level, who were reaching out on social media, DMing people like me and doing it right, and attracting clients that way, they have a list. They've had a list for years. So they didn't start out by DMing people. So think about that. So that's the second type of content that you want to, bust assumptions. Thought reversals is, another way of putting it. And that is just really pointing out mistakes that people are making and then telling them the right way, showing them the right way, which is your way, of course. And then the other three are how to. Because, it used to be when I created the sizzle system of personal branding, like online programs were so different back then. They were like what I call kitchen sink. Everything that you knew about anything was in that program. And the big thing for webinars and we're going to talk about launching tomorrow, but the big thing about, the free trainings that you're putting out as the launch runway were about 7 tips to such and such, or 3 secrets to such and such, or how to do this, how to do that. That's fine, but people don't want how to, right? They want connection. And this mentor always uses this example. He says, how many TEDx talks do you see that are teaching you how to do something? They're not, but everybody loves TEDx talks. And so many people want to be TEDx speakers. It's really more about life experience than it is about how to, but you still should be putting out some of the how-to content because people are looking for that. There are a lot of people looking for free stuff. Free stuff will get you only so far, but the more free stuff that they consume of yours, it's going to really teach them something, the more they'll see you as an expert. So those are the 3 types of content you want to focus on. Remember, 3 times a week is considered consistent. You don't want to, overwhelm your people or saturate their brain. So 3 times a week is good. And that comes out to 12 broadcasts, whether it's print, writing. I love to write. So that's my most comfortable way of communicating. So let's say 12 communications, 6 of those would be some kind of connection, some kind of story. And a story can even be a story about your client. And I'm going to tell a story about my client in a little bit, right? So a case study, a testimonial, a result somebody got, that's still a connection because people see themselves in that story. And then the second one is thought reversal, pointing out like the biggest mistake I see, and then you telling them what really works, right? And that's your solution. And then the third, another 3 posts, how to, and then that can just be, straight up 3 secrets to how to manifest your desires. I talk a lot about mindset and manifestation in the inner circle, and that's a lot of fun, but that's a process, right? So that's the other type of content. And I just want to say, like I said, your ideal clients will find you. And you can't worry about who's engaging with you. I mean, I appreciate everybody who's watching, everybody, especially everybody who's live here. I really, really appreciate that because it's not a lot of fun to be talking into thin air. And that's what it feels like a lot of times. But you have to trust that the right people are going to see you and they're going to watch you when they can. So that's why, that's why I send out the replays, because I know not everybody can be here at noon, my time, but I send out the replays. I broadcast on my Facebook group so people can find me there. I have a YouTube channel now. So you just really can't get caught up in who's watching you now. The people who are meant to work with you will find you. You have to be available for them to find you, right? So that's the most important thing, because that's where people get tripped up. Okay, enough of that. Let me grab a drink and we will move on to point 3. I am going to open up the lines for Q&A. So I'll wrap this up in about 5 minutes. Point 3 is nurture. So when I say nurture, I mean, that really is continuing the conversation with your warm lead. So you might be nurturing on Messenger. And I would not suggest that you really hold a conversation publicly on social media. If it gets to the point where you're, having a conversation, I would take it off of Facebook and move it to Messenger so it can be more private. But that's when you start out, that's how you have to reach out to people. Hate to tell you, like I said yesterday, you can't hide behind your funnel. You've got to really connect with people. So messaging and communicating with people on Facebook is usually something that you're going to do in the beginning if you're just launching a program. And then when you get to the higher level where you're really reaching out to higher level clients, because high-end clients want that personal invitation. Okay. So it is about nurturing them to get them to that point. And a lot of times that is through emails. Like I email consistently. I try to send my e-zine, my e-newsletter every Friday. It's called The Goddess Speaks. So it's a little bit different than the emails that you've been getting from Align, Believe, Create. But it really is my way of just, expressing my truth, because I see a lot of crap that, I don't agree with, or I think of things and I want to share, and that's my place to do it, to tell a story or whatever. That's how people get to know my personality. That's a way to show up, create content, deliver content, but also to nurture. Now, I'm going to talk about dedicated nurture sequences, because so you put out a freebie, your lead magnet, somebody comes onto your list. What do you do with them? And what I found out in my research is that people were growing their list. They didn't know what to do when it came to nurturing. So what you do, now this is part of Freedom Funnel Flow, and I know, Christina, you have access to that. Maybe you have seen this already, but when somebody signs up for your freebie or comes into your world, onto your email list in some way, you want to have some kind of welcome autoresponder, right? Let's just use a freebie as an example. That first email that they get is going to deliver the freebie. That's your first point of contact with them out after they make the decision to sign up and give you their email. And that's a topic for another day. Maybe I'll talk about this tomorrow, because you still have to sell your free stuff, right? So that's the first one. That's called an autoresponder. And then the next day you send a similar one. You send that freebie again, because right now, this week, today, it's not as easy to get people onto your list as it was last year. And it's not as easy to get people to actually consume the content that you're delivering. You really want them to consume the content. So that second email that you send is called a consumption email. And that's just reminding them, hey, you downloaded this yesterday, but did you take the time to read it or listen to it or whatever? Here it is again, do it now. And then you always want to give them a reason to, just, one reason, watch it now because you could be making the mistake of blah, 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 blah. And I show you the right way to do it, right? Something like that. Give them incentive. Hey, okay, so that's email 2. The third email should be sent like 2 days after that. And that should be your story, introducing you to them. Now, I had a session with a client yesterday, and in the Goddess Way Mastermind, one of the things I do with the members is I give them weekly content or copy reviews. So they have a lot of one-to-one time with me. So this particular client, she lives outside of the US, and she also has a job. So her time is very, very limited, but she launched a program. She just got finished at a group program for the first time. Now she's getting ready to launch it again in June. And so she got somebody to, she went through Freedom Funnel Flow. So I don't know why, her nurture sequence wasn't right, because I, bonus my nurture sequence, which she should have just followed, but she hired somebody, and she wanted me to look at them. And, I said to her, I said, nobody's going to read these emails because they were so long. And, long emails have a place, but when you're just bringing somebody onto your list and they're just getting to know you, they don't know you. They don't really care about you. They care about your freebie, right? But you have to build trust. So that's why that third email is about your story, but you've got to make it short and sweet. People get, and I told her, I'm a readability expert. I taught this at the university for 10 years. So I know people are repelled by big blocks of text, especially when they don't know you. So when you are nurturing someone, you really want to be powerful in the points you make in your copy and just get to the point, right? They don't need to know a lot of details. They need to know why you do what you do, how you can help them, and that's enough. So you've got to tell your story in a way that's short and sweet, but also shows the why, that your why for doing this. And in her case, she worked for an airline in the baggage claim department, and she was always dealing with disgruntled travelers, and she was made a manager, and then she was made a trainer, and she had a very effective way of handling these people. And she was recognized for that. So she left that job and she started doing that for entrepreneurs, teaching them how to be the same way and to be a more effective communicator. So that's a great example of somebody who's using their life story and their own experience to help others, right? So all that story is about you is relating to how you got to do what you do and why they should care, and what you, how do I say this? And what it means for them. So that's the third email. And then you have a quick call to action. You can even mention your freebie. Did you get a chance to look at such and such? Or just ask them a question like, how did you get to do what you do? Just some kind of connection. Hit reply and let me know. Now, in a nurture sequence, not many people are going to hit reply, but that's a way to extend an invitation in a way that shows that you care about them, right? So your nurture sequence isn't about a whole lot of text. It's really short and sweet, to the point. And then as you go along, you can just keep referring back to the freebie and then adding in what you do, adding in your programs. You'll add in some call to actions. You might even send them to a sales page. You would send them to a sales page. Here's the thing. And there are two schools of thought on this, or maybe three. So some people will say, when somebody comes onto your list, do not sell to them for 30 days. I don't agree with that. I'm in a lot of giveaways, and in a giveaway, you're not allowed to sell during the time of the giveaway. So my nurture sequences usually last 14 days, and then I just put them into my regular sequence, and they get my emails about all my offers and sales and things like that, right? And then, people will unsubscribe. That's fine. They'll unsubscribe from your nurture emails. It happens often. So that's what happens. People want your stuff, they'll get your free stuff, and then they don't want to hear from you again, and they'll unsubscribe, and that's fine. Bless them and let them go on their way. You just want to concern yourself with the people who stay because they resonate with you. So anyway, I want to wrap this up, but I hope you got value out of this. If you have any questions, I'm going to open up the lines, or if you're on Facebook or watching this on YouTube, just post in the comments and I will get to them. But after you do that story email, then you want to, depending on the situation, depending on what your offer is, you can sell that offer. You can sell it right away, not right away, okay? Because that's too salesy. Give it a couple days, maybe in that fourth email, you mention your story. This is what I did. This is how I help. And the best way to get my help is through this such and such, or offer a connection call, a discovery call, something like that, with an outcome. Don't just put a link to your scheduler in an email. Give it a purpose. So really, yes, you can start, you should have a call to action in every email, whether it's to download the freebie, whether it's to hit reply to connect with you, whether it's to, connect on Facebook or Instagram or some other social media platform, to check out your YouTube channel, subscribe to your podcast, listen to your podcast, whatever. Those are all calls to action. But you should also be making the offer to join your program, purchase your course, whatever. And that's the only way you will grow your business, is to make the ask. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to open up the lines if anybody has any questions, or you can post them in the chat. And yeah, let me see. I'm also going to stop the recording. Okay, so I just want to say I will be back tomorrow for leverage. What am I calling it? Well, I'm talking about launching, and I'm talking about leverage. So leverage is, running group programs. It's, like masterminds. The mastermind is a leverage group program, very small. The inner circle is a leverage program, and launching to a lot of people. So, okay, I'm just going to stop the recording, but we're still broadcasting on Facebook. Let me just pause it.